It's like, no, you guys don't believe in protecting children. If you did, you'd clamp down on the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs and you deport that 4% of the population that's accountable for 65% of the child sexual abuse and child sexual exploitation. Don't gaslight us into pretending that censoring adults online is somehow protecting children. And when they sit there on the camera and say, don't download VPNs, don't get around the rules because this is all about checking that children are the right age to go online. How does an adult using a VPN check whether a child is the right age to go? All the lying. It's all about censoring what we can see, what we can say, because they want to control the narrative. Don't paint it any other way. We're not stupid.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Fox and Father with me, the Fox, and him, the
Father.
It used to be a show where Calvin tried to tutor me in the ways of righteousness, but as we can all see, he's failed dismally.
That isn't not true.
How are you doing, bro?
I'm good. My day off on Monday, I drove out to, there's a little private lake on the other side of the state where there's a Lutheran church, a Lutheran pastor, a friend of mine invited me over. So I went out on a little boat, a little paddle boat. It did have a little motor on it. And we were doing some fishing. I caught loads of fish. This is my first time fishing. Really. Yeah, I had good fun. I've been gaming again. I've been playing Call of Duty. This is like the first time in about 10 years that I've played
Which Call of Duty are you playing?
Black Ops 6.
Oh, it's good. Have you got to, there's two annoying levels in Black Ops 6. This is not really good for our audience.
Oh, no, it's great. I'm not playing single player, I'm playing multiplayer. I'm on my 3rd prestige right now.
I don't know what that means. Oh, I just do.
People will know. Are you playing? So you've played it, or have you completed it?
I just do the campaign and then leave it. Yeah. I can't fight normal.
Well, it's like a flashback to a previous life where I obviously used to go around the world getting to play these games before they came out. That was how I spent my teenage years and my early 20s. It was a good time, but I haven't really played games for a long time. So I wanted to get back in. So I've got something that's not productive, and that is definitely downtime.
What's your console of choice?
Mostly Xbox, but I've got the PlayStation as well.
Right,
but I'm part of the PT Master Race. So
are you?
Yeah. So
what does that mean?
I've got a very old PC. Like, again, it's probably about 10 years old now, but it was at the time it was top of the range anywhere. It still got like 64 gigs of RAM. It had one graphics card, so I bought a cheap version of the same graphics card, plonked that in. So I've got 2 graphics cards in there now. Basically it's a very old computer that I've upgraded a little bit in order to. It didn't need much to get back up to date, and it's playing games quite well.
I'm really upset when I try and play online because the people with the PCs can just move their mouse around and kill you really fast, whereas with your little Xbox controller, it moves slower.
This is the thing. I don't have the dexterity anymore in my thumb. I'm old now. I don't have whatever I had before. So mouse and keyboard is the better way for me.
I love it. I'm old now. I don't have it anymore.
Oh, it's so true. I played Counter-Strike is a game I grew up on. I played that the other day and I was like, this is it's not fun anymore. Everyone's so sweaty. It's like you can't. So Call of Duty is a bit more fun. I suppose it's easier to get kills in Call of Duty, and that's what it's all about, getting good kills at the end of the day. Counter-Strike was good because you were killing Arabs. This was like, I grew up killing Arabs, but Call of Duty is a bit different. So
I need to get this game.
Yeah, you've got. I know Eugene's got Call of Duty because I remember I 1v1'd him once. He was upset because I beat him.
I play Call of Duty. I play on the Xbox when I'm very, very, very stressed.
Yeah, it's good outlet.
That's what I do, and I'm just like, I've already defeated this Russian oligarch 4 times, but I don't care. I'm going to get him this time. I'm going to get him with a pistol and a gutting knife rather than, So they are amazing.
When you're playing online with your friends, it's always good fun as well. But of course, all my friends live in the UK, so I need to find new people new gaming friends to play with in the States. Because I can't play with you, for example, from here because the lag would be incredible on a first-person shooter.
Would it?
Yeah. It's bad. You can't really play cross-continental online games. Not with
even in 2025.
Yeah. It's ping matters. You got to have a ping in double digits, no higher than that.
I don't even know what ping is.
People know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's the gaming stuff. I'm launching a new service here at church today as we record. So as this goes out, it will have already happened. But if people want to tune in, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. We're doing Evensong in the church. I'm going to live stream this as well, which goes along with, if you're watching this on Sunday, oh, no, that will have happened too. No, it won't. In an hour's time, Evensong on my YouTube, which is at Common Sense Crusade. We have Evensong, which is just me here with the Five Fathers. But on Wednesdays, I'm doing it in the church. So Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on my YouTube, but also on the St. Paul's Church of Grand Rapids Facebook page and Twitter. And if it's not too self-indulgent, I'm going to make St. Paul's Twitter my Fox and Father follows, because it's at STPAULSGR at St. Paul's Grand Rapids.
Let me follow them now. What? Say that again. Fox and Father follows is
St. Paul's, so STPAULSGR, GR for Grand Rapids. Yeah, I'm trying to grow the Twitter and the Facebook. I'm going to do more streaming.
I'm already following you.
Excellent.
You've got quite a lot of followers.
Yeah, it's going okay. We're going to do some live streaming on those accounts of more services and more biblical content.
In between gaming and
boating,
being a priest and a boating bishop. I love it.
Not a bishop.
You are a funny old sort. So you're going to live stream that on a Wednesday evening. That's nice. You might be well ahead of the curve there, because all the conservative commentators go on about the fact that, this great re-faithing of the West. You might end up with the world's biggest online ministry, because unless you can't cancel from your own online ministry, can you?
No, but I mean,
I think it'd be all right.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Lots of churches do it. Lots of churches do online ministry. People here want to stream the Mass. I'm considering streaming the Mass, but I just think for the Mass, you have to be there, because you're partaking that perpetual sacrifice. So it's difficult to stream the Mass. But Evensong is an ancient English tradition. There's nothing more Anglican than evening prayer, and it's non-sacramental, so anyone can come, whether they're Catholic or Protestant, doesn't matter. Anyone can come and join us. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So hopefully it will be a bit more of an outreach to show another demographic what the Anglican expression of the Catholic faith is all about.
So you're telling me that I have to be awake at midnight on a Wednesday to join? Actually,
because you can watch it online later.
Oh, I can watch it online later. The joys of YouTube, as long as you're not censored and destroyed by YouTube. Well, that's good. Well done. Good. Great. Proactive and excellent. I'm glad you've had a bit of summer boating and you're not all work and no play.
I've actually got a decent tan. I can't show you right now, but I've got a farmer's tan. I'm 2 tones right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You've got the what? How high up? T-shirt height or what?
Yeah, up to here, and then it goes white, and then it goes back to brown.
So you are literally a living mixed race person.
Yeah.
You're mixed race by the
quite literally.
Well, yeah, but in a more fun way than just normally.
How are you, Laurence?
I'm all right.
Every time I speak to anyone, they're like, "How's Laurence?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Everyone's like very concerned about you. I'm like, "Oh, he's doing more legal stuff." I'm like, "He's doing more legal stuff? What?" It's like your days are speaking to lawyers and going to court.
Yeah, that's what they are. I was in court for the appeal for the libel case. It was interesting watching the appeal.
So this is the one with the queer, the trans drag queen, the Corrie person, and the rabbi. No,
it's not a rabbi. He's this is so funny. I love the fact that you go rabbi at the end of it. No, he's the other guy is Simon Blake, who's now head of Stonewall. Tells you all you need to know. What was funny was during the original trial, I think I can talk about this. In fact, I can, because I know Theon had to do a load of editing last week to cut out things that I wanted to say legally, but I can say stuff that's happened and is not on the public record.
Yeah, there was a lot of cutting last week. And I can say, I was there for this case, the one that's being appealed now, and I could tell the viewers, oh my gosh, it's boring. It's nothing like what you see on television or in films. It's so boring. Really it's so dull.
It is. And but one of the things that was discovered in that case was the fact that Colin Seymour, or the guy that grinds angle grinders on his metal codpiece in front of children, that charming drag queen performer, his boyfriend / partner / whatever he is, uncovered that he was one of my biggest trolls ever. And I had no idea because I don't really engage with trolls. I can't
Yeah.
be bothered. And he was in the courtroom in a really kind of fashionable face mask.
Well, this time.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's uniform for you lot, isn't it?
Face mask
You
is still, I think.
strange people.
Is this the chap who last time was wearing like a Joker suit that was half one and half the other?
That was the actual angle grinding drag queen codpiece. It was very, very funny. It was very funny listening to my King's Counsel, who was very smooth talking, lovely human being. He said, I won't put your lordships, because they're all lords now, you're in that court of appeal, through the agony of having to watch the video of him doing this in front of kids. So he described it, but always him describing it in that sort of cut class English accent was even worse. So he inverted the angle grinder like so, your lordships, and proceeded to grind it upon himself on his metal appendage until the sparks started to fly. So yeah, that was Monday. Tuesday, the interesting part of it, I suppose, other than the fact that it's another, few months waiting to hear the appeal court ruling, is that it's now 3 judges instead of 1. So, the chances of one judge doing what they're told, you got 3 separate minds that would need to be corrupted if not that I'm positing that the judiciary is institutionally corrupt, but you'd have to get all 3 of them, was that the newspapers started reporting the facts of the case. So back in the day when it all happened, they only reported the fact that I called these 3 bullies pedophiles, sorry, and but this time round, when they reported on the case, they actually report the facts, which is they called me a racist for calling out Sainsbury's for being racist.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. That it shows that it's developed. I thought to myself, you know what, if someone called me a racist in 2025, I wouldn't care less.
Yeah.
That's how much language has just diminished.
Also, it was a linguistic game, back and forth. Like, they called you a racist, therefore you called them a pedophile. You wouldn't ever at any time implying that they were actually pedophiles. You were showing how absurd it is. Whereas I actually think one of them probably is a pedophile if he's using a crutch grinder in front of children.
Well, I obviously won't make any comment.
No, please don't comment. But I will say I think that's probably pedophilic
on anything, because I could do with I just do with some less time in court. But I did find it interesting that what I find interesting about it, other than the fact that the process is the punishment, is that it's how quickly society moves on. And one of my lawyers said something interesting to me, which was, you are now perceived by the legal community, by their community, you're perceived as quite a liberal. Whereas 5 years ago, you were perceived as a fascist. Right. So as I've stayed exactly the same, the Overton window is going to the right so much more that I'm still what I've always have been. And so I thought that was interesting. And then I also thought that how unbelievably dreadfully bad the original trial judge's judgment was. And, just rereading bits of it. Because I said immediately, it's a rhetorical device. You call me X, I call you Y. It's to prove a point, blah, blah. And I said it almost immediately.
We did.
And the judge in her judgment on the original trial just didn't even refer to that. She said some amount of walking back. I'm like, how much more walking back? And they also, when Nicola Thorpe, whose case got chucked out,
I forgot about her.
Her case got thrown out because it was obvious mimicry. They said that, what did they say? They said that I picked people at random. It's like, no, I didn't. I picked people who called me a racist with a large following. And in Nicola Thorpe's case, admittedly, a certain type of celebrity, but she was in acting and show business. So it was devastating to my career. And I look back on it and I go, this is fine. I'll do this. If this is what you want me to do, is to to carry on fighting you people, I'll do it, and I'll do it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and I won't stop. But when other people try the same trick, for example, the good thing is that I don't have any financial backing for that. So, it's like I have financial backing for things that are worth fighting. I don't have financial backing for grifters. Well, so that was good. But then to the most happy thing that happened was the last night, the wedding video came in. Oh. I've sent it to you. You've got it in your email.
We have. Okay.
Yeah, it was just so lovely to see. The ceremony particularly is a really moving and very wonderful thing. Aww. Except they cut out the bit where I plight thee my troth, or thy troth, or whatever it was.
But they really?
Where I started laughing. But it was so lovely to hear Jeremy's speech and Eugene's speech and to hear the service, and it was just beautiful. And so that put a real smile on both our faces today. So you just feel very exhausted actually after being in court. It's very, very tiring. Even listening, because a lot of it's so technical. But fingers crossed, if there is any justice in the world, I doubt that there is much human justice in the world.
This is gorgeous. This is really nice.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If there is any justice in the world, then maybe we can put a tiny bit of it in. I'll ask Lizzie, because she's obviously, we might put the little trailery bit in. It's just so sweet. Because it's worth people, sharing. It's just so lovely to spend that day, and what a magical time, and just so great. So yeah, we did that, and then yesterday I came back in the evening after finishing the second day, and today I have done Primani for stepdaughter number one. Well, no, only stepdaughter.
What, you went to Primark?
Primani.
I don't know what that means. Sorry.
Primark. Okay. How much clothes do you get? I mean, what are they paying the poor Chinese person that makes it? Literally, what are they paying them? Because she's like, I quite like that dress. Can I have it? And I'm like, how much does it cost? And she's like, 12 quid. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Slave labor is great, isn't it? That's very cheap.
So here in the West, we love slavery.
Yeah, we're exporting our slavery. It's not good. It's not good, really, is it? The fact that these people are exploited so that we can have cheap stuff.
But also, kids you can say that the system is kind of linear, because she has to. Lizzie's a proper parent, unlike me, who's a sort of crap parent. Lizzie actually makes the kids work for their money. Work for things that they want, and so she had a budget, and her budget on what she gets paid to do various bits and bobs, is can afford Primark. It can't afford Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah.
So it's like I got it on turn one. I've been on the motorbike, that's why. So it was. She got an awful lot of stuff for that amount of money, and I thought, good on you. And she worked hard for it, and they're all very grateful, and this is the sanctuary. I'm so blessed with this place, this home, with her and with them, the kids. And I can't wait to have my son back next week. One of my sons back next week, and to hit Skiathos, which we're very sad about you not being able to come to, but very understanding of why you can't, because it's so far away.
Yeah,
so that's
still
me.
About that.
That is me, and I can't think of any other news. So I think we should dive into the non-news that you like to not talk about. Right. Well, this is a little bit political because it is quite funny. So I think we should start off by playing. First of all, Trump decides to say Trump really dislikes Sadiq Khan, and for that,
before that, the fact that Trump is in the United Kingdom right now, I mean, he's hosting the Prime Minister rather than the Prime Minister.
So
it's such a baller move, isn't it? It's like, come to my great mansion on this golf course, which is far better than anything the state has. Come here and we'll talk here. And then he welcomes him on the doorstep as if he's like a foreign visitor. It's crazy.
It's such good optics, though, isn't it? Because it's trying to go, here, little pet Keir Starmer. And then Keir Starmer, bless him, he's, the standard of our public servants is so low. And Keir Starmer epitomizes that so beautifully. He's just a bland magnolia figure who really wants to be a vibrant color, but just never will be. And so Trump starts off by slagging off Sadiq and free speech and all of that sort of stuff. And Keir just doesn't know what to say. So he's like going, do that shit. Trump's like, yeah, I wish I could do Trump. I've never tried. He's the worst mayor ever.
That's a friend of mine, actually.
He's a friend of mine, actually. It was hilarious. But then, in true Trump style, we've got to go to the clip because I must have Fox and Father followed him before. But if you don't, follow Arch Rose 90, Chris Rose. He's brilliant. So this is the clip of him back on Air Force One, doubling down.
But Europe has a big immigration problem. They also liked when I said that they have one of the worst mayors anywhere in the world in London. He's a horrible mayor, nasty guy, stupid guy in my opinion, but he's a nasty man. And I want nothing to do with him, but I didn't think it was a big statement. And so many people said, thank you for saying that. He's a bad guy. Khan is his name, I guess. He's done a lousy job, I can tell you that. Terrible mayor. No, but people liked it so much when I said that.
I mean, he's a genius, isn't he?
Yeah, the way obviously the day before that footage, when he sat down with Sir Keir Starmer and he's lambasting him without directing it at him. It was like, yeah, any good leader of a country will obviously want to lower taxes. It's very important to lower taxes. Of course, to be a successful leader, you have to lower taxes. And Keir Starmer sat there, like trying not to look like a puppet. It's like he's giving him lessons, and you can watch Sir Keir Starmer's face the whole time. He doesn't look happy, but he's giving lessons without lecturing him. It's very smart the way he does it.
He's also he's very accessible, Trump, because he goes, I spoke to Vladimir. Vladimir was not, it's very nice conversations, but Vladimir says these nice things, and then some people die, and I go, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not good to kill people. And he's the same about Khan. But what I love about Donald, and what I think so wonderful about his nature, is he's so thin-skinned. And he takes things very personally. You can tell that it upsets him and I think, because I think he's a good man deep down, Trump, a really good man actually deep down. I can tell that he's so annoyed that Sadiq Khan's never bothered to actually meet him or to try and get to know him, because Sadiq Khan lives in this awful in-between world of, I've come to the terrifying conclusion that Sadiq Khan is a fake progressive.
Sure, but at least he's consistent. Whereas Sir Keir Starmer and
he's entirely
Foreign
inconsistent.
Secretary, all these people.
How can you be a Muslim and believe in pride?
Not to that degree, but he's consistent. That all of them have said, "Oh, Trump's megalomaniac. Trump's this, that, the other. We wouldn't meet him. It'd be awful for democracy if Trump gets in." The moment he's in, "Oh, welcome, Mr. President," Whereas at least Khan is like, "No, I don't like him." I quite respect that.
Yeah, actually, on that level, I just find, I mean, obviously my feelings on Sadiq Khan are that he's
awful, horrible person.
He epitomizes the absolutely everything that is wrong with the multicultural experiment. And everything is epitomizing Sadiq Khan. He's a liar, so he pretends to believe in pride to appease one portion of the left community.
Yeah, they're allowed to lie for the sake of their dominance.
Yeah, it is. And the insincerity of the man, I find very progressive. I hate progressive insincerity. I was talking actually to the lawyers about this. I said, because I didn't go to university, but I'm not stupid. I mean, I'm not very smart, but I'm not stupid. I'm sort of in the middle of like how smart people can be. But if you go to university, you get an extra level of articulation and the ability to, round an argument, not be provoked so much, and really be able to back and forth with people well. And I get that. So what drives me nuts is simple things to spot in someone's argument, like hypocrisy. So it's the hypocrisy that tends to drive me nuts about people. And Sadiq Khan is just full of it from literally, like all of them. They just talk out both sides of their mouth all the time. Did I tell you last week about the Sinn Féin guy?
No.
So when I was in Ireland, I met this guy who obviously had rather different politics from me, who was quite serious, a relatively high profile guy. And I sat down and I thought, God, this is going to be a real test of whether I'm able to not get shot in this pub. And we ended up having a most amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And it was because, as I've always said, he was very confident in what he believed in. And I'm very confident in what I believe in, which makes you kind of open-minded in a way to discussing ideas rather than people. And, it's a constant moan of mine. But anyway, that's what I mean. And so I think Trump's point of going, Sadiq, the mayor's stupid. In my view, he's stupid. I don't know what to say. I think he's stupid and evil. Yeah, so the way he just sort of lobs it out. And I thought to myself, I agree with almost everything you're saying, except whether Sadiq Khan is stupid or not. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's malevolent. I don't think he's stupid. I think he's a bully. I hate the way he attacks people like Susan Hall, who are just trying to be representative of their constituents.
He hates her.
He really does.
You can really tell he hates her. And she does it's such a shame that someone with that much integrity and genuine decency like Susan Hall does. She's a fox and father follows. Follow her, Councillor Susie on Twitter. She someone with that real genuine integrity is treated with such misogyny by Khan, who would, again, in my, depleted worldview, be just called out for being such a vile hypocrite.
She's one of the last few left. There used to be Peter Whittle in there. There used to be David was in there as well. There was a number of good people in that. There's pretty much just her left now to hold him accountable. So of course he targets all this hate at her.
Yeah, there's a reform guy. What was I trying to say about her? It's a shame that that she doesn't have that kind of forward-facing. She wasn't a great candidate. The charisma that's required, or in Sadiq Khan's way, the sort of indifference disguised as enigma. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's amazing what people gravitate towards. So that's what I thought, and I just love Donald Trump, and I'm so jealous that I don't get to live in America.
You could if you wanted.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. We'll have to find out from the next series of legals, which go on relentlessly for however long they go on for. I don't know. I've as I said, I've kind of given up on the legals for August. And I'm going to focus on watching my sons, hopefully wakeboarding and water skiing, which would be nice in our favorite place on earth. But I did find out the other day that the Greek islands, as opposed to the Greek mainland, are notoriously liberal. I mean, it's totally easy to get if you understood, but the islands are quite liberal and the mainland is quite conservative. And I've had a few Barneys with a couple of people on those islands, and then I've just realized, it's because you're all a bit lefty, so it's quite fun. But there we are. That's I think we've covered Trump, haven't we? He's a nasty person. He's a terrible person. He's terrible at his job. Okay, Tommy. So Tommy was round here. I'll just give a bit of
I saw there was a photo.
Yeah, so Tommy, he is one of the lions of this nation. And in my genuine view, there will be no change without him. None. I just don't think there will. And so he's organising this Unite the Kingdom rally on the 13th September. So he was round and we were talking about it because, I want to help him in any way I can. And we were chatting about it, and he drove all the way up here, and he'd done a long day, and he brought his dad, and he was so lovely. And you just think that, isn't it incredible the way the media present this man who is just a genuine lover of his country? and is prescient beyond belief about the direction that the country's going in and the way they demonize him. And the next day or so, I mean, I was off the socials because I was in court. I wasn't sort of tweeting about things. I then get home or I get to the lunch break and I see that, there's him and there's some dude lying flat on the ground and I can see Tommy's got a cut on his head. And I knew immediately that this is about trying to stop the 13th of September. I knew it.
Right.
And then I see pictures of police in forensic fucking uniforms. Did we see any of those when people get killed on the tube? Do we see any of those? I mean, do we see any forensic uniforms when people haven't died? Ever? What is going on? What do you reckon?
I don't know. I found it suspect that we saw clipped footage. So we saw Tommy walking away and coming back and having a bit of a conversation with an onlooker, but we didn't see the actual incident. And I found that very, very suspect because it clearly was a case of him being trolled or someone aggressive coming up to him to kind of try and bait him. It seems perhaps he either took the bait or defended himself. Either way, the full footage isn't out there, so people can't really make up their full minds. But people want the media and people online will want to manipulate it any way they can.
Well, the full footage will be out there because St Pancras, like the rest of London, is bathed in CCTV gamma rays. So if the police wanted to release the footage, they could have released it straight away and said this is what happens. But like with the Manchester airport bombing, where they attack, they just released a picture of the police person kicking the violent thug in the head, and they didn't release any of the other stuff until much later, a year later. And you start to think the media, with the advent of AI and with the almost taking over of AI now, it's getting to the point where I've not searched on Google for anything for a very long time. So that in itself is a profound shift in the way that people live, is that I don't use Google anymore, ever. So,
which is great because they've had too much power for too long.
Yeah, it is great. And it's great that Elon has, sucked a bit of that power away, because I tend to use Grok because it's there and it's on Twitter and you can use it really easily. But there are
the only problem is all of the AIs are liberal. Grok started to wake up a little bit and it got slapped straight back down. Like the liberals have to have power over everything. For so long, if you search anything on Google, the results, the algorithm sorts the results so you get the most liberal take first. And Grok is doing all the AIs are doing exactly the same thing, unfortunately.
I thought Grok was pretty good on the video that I put up a video of yet another ghastly, vile attack in London. And someone then commented and asked Grok to analyze it and say what it was. And it said where it was, who it was. It was very impartial, I thought. It didn't seem to have any political bias to it at all. If you ask it a direct question, and there was that period on Twitter when people were asking Grok whether Islam was compatible with the West, and it just said, in one word, give me an answer, and it said no. So,
these things are relative, and relatively speaking, it's better than most of them. I think Gab AI is probably better than that, but they're incredibly liberal, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing about Tommy is, I think what I was trying to get towards was on the 13th September, the next Unite the Kingdom rally. I think that is the first. That will be the beginning of the peasants' revolt in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I've been speaking to Grok about it. So because we have no modern history of revolting in Britain. Just as I
read your tweet about it. I've been reading.
I didn't put this in the tweet though, because I just put the civil disobedience bit, because I think this is the only way. Because we have no modern history of revolting. We have no modern history of any small party taking over the two-party system because of the first past the post is too difficult to break. So there's no political solution. I don't think there's a revolution in the making. And Grok was like, well, civil disobedience has worked in the past with the poll tax. Like, yeah, that's true. But even that, to get enough people to be civilly disobedient is a massive challenge, especially if it's inconvenient.
But this is what I said. This is what I was talking to without divulging what I was talking to in great detail with Tommy. I was like, what are we aiming to achieve? Because
Take
it's wonderful.
back.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see so many people express their dissatisfaction and unity with others about the dreadful direction this country is taking. But actually, now the next step's got to be, what do we want? And
the next step has to be action. The
Yeah,
problem is people are like, oh, we'll sign the petition. People always send me this and retweet this petition. Retweet, it's very important. It's not important. It means nothing. They literally say, put this paper of petitions on the pile next to the bonfire, right? That is absolutely stupid to believe that petitions are going to make any difference. And it's the same with protests, unfortunately. They can look out the window and go, ha, look at them. It means nothing to these people. They don't care about us.
But I know what you're saying, but that what this is the marshalling of support behind someone, the dissatisfaction, abstract nouns for all I care. But it's the marshalling of people together. And I think from within that crowd, it could be Tommy, it could be anywhere, it could be literally anybody in that crowd, there will come forth an idea and a plan as to how to implement that idea. And that idea, and the first step towards implementing that idea is to start this thing of the fact that we are in a civil war in this country, and we are treated as I think my cat says, we live in a two-tiered elitist society. You saw on Newsnight last night with that Labour peer.
There's a small minority of people that really care about this stuff, and we see them at the Uniting the Kingdom rallies every time. There's a small minority.
I think there'll be a million.
These people are online.
People there. I think there'll be a million people.
But there's not a critical mass. Most people are apathetic. Most people are kind of just indifferent.
Okay, I'm going to ask Grok a question, and we'll see if it's right. I'm going to ask Grok, what percentage of a population does it take to create a revolution? What percentage? Oh God, I've got to spell percentage. I'm so bad at spelling. What percentage of a population is required to start a revolution?
The lovely people who watch our show, the people who follow us online, the people who go to Uniting the Kingdom, they are the good people who are awake. But there's so few of them.
3.5. Okay. There is no universal percentage of a population required to start a revolution, as it depends on context, organisation, and external factors like government response or societal conditions, which I would say the government response to almost everything since it's come in, and not letting off the Tories before, we're in a period where societal conditions aren't good. Historical studies and social science research like Erica Chenworth's work on civil resistance suggests that 3.5% of a population actively participating in sustained non-violent resistance can often lead to significant political change.
Okay, so 3.5% of the UK population is 2.35 million. People get excited when a couple of 100,000 people sign a petition, right?
Well, I think there'll be a million people there on the 13th.
Okay.
So you're halfway there. From the first one, which was 50 to 100,000, to the second one, which was between 200,000 and 500,000, I'd say probably.
I think it'll be good. I think there'll be a million people there.
I do.
I think there's only 2 times in our country's history, if not one, that we've had 1 million people out.
Okay, here we go.
Up the War Million Man March.
But what percent? So then it goes down into the Bolsheviks. It was only 1% who were Bolsheviks. And they changed the course of Russian history forever.
Yeah, but so do we have to wait till people are dying?
Well, people are dying already. If you think about the impact of lockdowns, I met someone the other day whose son took their own life during lockdown. I mean, those sorts of things have caused so much pain and heartbreak and suffering across many families. I just, maybe I'm a bit more optimistic and hopeful than you are. I think that Britain's reaching its fuck around and find out point when it comes to
the mood is shifting. I just think we're a long way off of any kind of revolution.
Maybe. I don't mean a revolution. I mean a revolt. I mean the peasants turning around and saying no. I would suggest refusing to pay taxes, for example. I don't think people should be. I don't think I had to pay my tax bill last week, which was painful. And I thought a lot of this is going to go, one out of every 4 of those pounds is going on a benefit claimant or a migrant.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you're right. That'd be great. I was thinking about that too, and that would be a good thing. But it's difficult for people who are PAYE. Maybe if people stopped paying council tax, that would.
Yes. Well, there you go. But it's these sorts of ideas that we want to put out there, because we know, I certainly know, and you know from the number of people that have tried to utterly destroy your life, that the only path to it is through proper resistance. And it is, I want to live in a harmonious nation. And, we've talked many times about how one gets back to that to a degree. But one of the, and there are many different ideas about how to do it. But the first thing one has to do is go, well, this is the worst it's been in people, older grown-up people who are very much more measured than I am, sit there and say, I've never known it in my lifetime, all the lifetimes that they learned from. They've never known Britain to be this bad, even through periods of war, Yeah. So I do have hope, and I really. Here's your follows from me.
You've had 3 already.
I'm going to give you another one. David Betts. He's got a funny Twitter handle, but he is he's a lecturer in. He's a sort of expert on civil wars, potentially, at Buckingham University. Anyway, his handle is David BE 310-99196. So he's obviously not worked out Twitter properly. But if you Google David Betts on YouTube, Trigonometry had him on recently. There's a wonderful interview with a guy I listened to, a guy called Harrison Pitt, who's part of Peter Whittle's crew. And I listened to him give a speech once, and I thought it was not that interesting. But then I saw him interview David Betts, and I thought, wow, he is really interesting. He's a very knowledgeable guy. And David breaks down quite well the chances of civil war breaking out in one of the many countries across the West where there are these enormous societal problems that have never been encountered before.
It's far more likely to happen in Europe. That's what they do. They revolt. They are more revolting than we are. But getting people to react to getting some action is the first step. We still need strong leaders after that. Otherwise, we just fall back. Even if we toppled the Labour government, right, and called an election tomorrow, we'd end up being in exactly the same place in a year's time anyway, because our king needs to go. Our king's out there supporting, what was it? He had LGBT and Ramadan.
We need to talk about the king
in his palace. There are no party leaders that are solid enough to say, this is what we need to do. Repatriation, deportation, blah, 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 get this stuff done. Like, there's so much other stuff that needs to happen too.
But maybe the suffering that you and I have been through will lead us to be those leaders in time. You never know. But I did think when I was sat in the courtroom, they launched the libel action. That they announced the libel action, that they started the correspondence to the libel action pretty close to the launch of the Reclaim Party. And then on the big minute I stood for mayor, they announced it on that morning. So the whole point of the libel action, in my view, in the first place, was to destroy a genuinely insurgent political party, which wasn't, unlike Farage and that lot, which wasn't part of the establishment.
Yeah.
And it actually made me think, once all this is done, I might be back for another tip at it.
So people are asking this, are you going to stand for Mayor of London again, or are you going to support Ant Middleton, is the question.
I would always just stand myself. I mean, if I was going to do it, I'd stand myself. I don't know Ant, so I don't really know.
No, nor do I. It's just what I've seen out of it.
Much about him, but I'd just stand myself. Okay. If the time came. And then once you're up and running, perhaps then you can join forces and, do stuff like that. But I think Ant's, he's definitely got the pedigree, doesn't he? Because he's fought for the country in the most, as the most elite fighting force that Britain has. So I would very much be interested in. I should probably talk to him. I've never met him, but I was actually going to do an SAS TV show as they slowly welcomed me back into the world of being a public media figure, but I couldn't because that was when I had my neck operation on. So I couldn't do it in the end because I was in too much pain. But I would do something like that. But no, I would just stand myself. That's what I would do. Can we talk about King Charles for a minute?
Sure.
So King Charles's quote was, sources close to the king, according to Charlie Sansom, or also a good follower, have told the Express newspaper that Charles is appalled by Donald Trump's recent remarks about immigration into the UK. The source claimed that the king fears being put in an uncomfortable position politically if the president sounds off. If Trump starts sounding off about the evils of immigration and to the cameras while the king is standing next to him, the king would find that hard to take.
I'm sure he would. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, he's a major problem, King Charles, isn't he?
He is. He needs to go as soon as possible. The problem is,
so that's a leak from there. That's a leak from inside the palace because that's the
of course. Trump doesn't operate in that old world, so it's very difficult for people who do to, like, how royal protocol doesn't exist in that way, does it? How can you, as the king, stand there when someone's sounding off about political policy, whether you agree with it or not? It is impossible for the king, but he shouldn't be leaking these messages. We should not know that. That should not be out there.
Well, but he shouldn't say it either then, should he? So it can't wait. It has to work both ways. If King Charles is brought by Donald Trump's views, then King Charles should shut up about the environment and shut up about everything, actually, really.
Well, I'd prefer if he just went back to talking about the environment or back to talking to his trees and stopped speaking on Islam, stopped promoting Ramadan and LGBT and all the evils of the world. If he's not going to promote Christianity, don't promote anything else. Like, he is a major part of the problem and he needs to go. The problem is, I don't think his son will be any better.
No, his son will be worse. And that's just because he will be worse because that generation are dreadful. I mean, the generation, you and I just were lucky enough to miss the mobile phone explosion during our formative years, and therefore we are a little bit sounder. The generation above us tend to be a little bit more selfish, I've noticed, and they cared more about sucking the world dry than they did about giving much back.
Prince William's smack bang in the middle between you and I, between our ages.
Yeah,
but he's not solid on anything. Like, he's not a Christian, or if he is, he's not like a devout.
He was
Christian. Pretty
solid on racism early during George Floyd. He was very solid on that. He turned around and he said, when he was interviewed, they asked him whether he was an anti-racist, and he said, "I'm not racist." And I know that sounds like a really, blah comment, but at the time, with the political situation as it was, and one had to take the knee to everything that was moving, it was a good statement, I thought. But I think that I think the royal family are in the modern, land acknowledgement world are in a very precarious position because, if there is white privilege, then they are it. That Ando and Joa, who said it when at the coronation, she's like, look, all those white people up on the balcony. It's like, well, yeah, it is England and we're white here. So you expect, what color would you like our royal family to be? We don't go to Kenya and go, oh, look, there's Kevin De Bruyne as the president of Kenya. So I think they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's just what you need whatever benignity is. That's what you need from a royal, and the Queen knew it. And we got very complacent with her, and then we've got this oaf Charles, who's obviously not the sharpest knife in the drawer, who just postulates on all things progressive.
I'm past that benignity. I don't know if it works, and this is not making me a Republican. In some sense, I do think the answer to 1984 is 1776, but that's more rebelling against the government. I think the answer is preferably an absolute monarchy rather than a constitutional monarchy. We need a good, solid, strong king who can turn around and say, no, that is not our country. Like,
but
those people need to go. Those laws need to go. Online safety bill. No, I'm not passing royal assent to that. Just a solid king who loves his country.
But the problem is then you don't get to, as we all know, every parent has a couple of dud children once in a while. You got the King James succession from Elizabeth, and you've got multitudes of successions where the following on absolute monarch has been absolutely dreadful. I'm not saying that King James was a dreadful monarch. I'm just saying I actually think that the American system is perfect. as far as these things go, because you elect the president. The president, I mean, Trump is a complete one-off in many, many ways, because he's instead of him representing the Republican Party, the Republican Party has had to go along with him because he is the representative of the people. So I do think that's the closest.
But all the presidents before him, leave him out of it because he's a bit of an enigma, but all presidents before him have been incredibly self-serving, and they've actually just been there to make money for themselves and suit their own best interests. The beauty of an absolute monarch is that they're invested in the land and the people and should believe in the divine right of kings, therefore they're accountable to God. Whereas a president is, such a short amount of time that their vested interests are not the people, they're not the country. So I don't know if a republic system works in the same way as an absolute monarchy.
I don't think any of the systems work brilliantly, but the absolute monarchy seemed to work for Britain for many, many years, and the post period has not been very.
And when you get a bad king, then you need an Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, well, it takes us back to last week's, judicious conversation about the merits or lack thereof of beheading bad kings. Yeah. Certainly we should, with great power should come great responsibility. That's the other thing that I find very irritating about the modern political class, is they do have this very socialist way of looking at the world, which is like, I'm above you, you mean nothing, shut up and do what you're told, pleb. And that does need change. And I think that there is a very strong sense, certainly in the UK, that we're having to live the consequences of somebody else's stupid ideology, and we don't want to do it anymore. And I living here, being here, talking to people here, spending time here, and people stop me on the street often, and the message is very simple. It's like, we never had a say. No one ever asked us whether we wanted to give our country away in this way. And I think you're seeing mini peasants' revolts and mini civil disobediences around every single migrant hotel in London. And I think that can only happen more as more and more of these unvetted military-age invaders come into our country. Where are they going to put them? They're doing a housing development up the road. Are they going to put them in there? Because I tell you what, that wouldn't fly around here at all. There would be riots. This is England where I live, and I'm very proud of it being England. It can be diverse. It can be ethnically diverse to an extent. I don't object to people being of different ethnicities, but if you just plonk, 100 or 200 or 300 Afghan migrants or Pakistani Muslim migrants into a community of this size, there'd be a war. That's what would happen. And I think we're starting to see the rumblings of that already in the UK. And I'm actually, much as I would much rather these problems were solved peacefully, I think there's going to come a time as we click ever closer to being a minority in our own country where the only solution is going to be a very, very forceful one.
But even that, we don't have guns, right? So what's going to happen is the protests will turn to riots. The police will clamp down extra hard. The government will make, martyrs of people. And that's not how you get progress.
Martyrs, well, is it not? I mean, in this day and age,
I think people will, once one or two people have been arrested and had severe sentences, most people will be like, oh, actually, they better not go back out there.
I have much more faith in people than you do on this one. I think you've been in America too long.
I just look at what's in front of me. There were protests last year. What happened with the protests? The press said, "Oh, it's time to end it because the police are going to be out there watching for the far right," and then no one went out again. It was done in a moment like that.
These things take organising. They take organising. Then you can't just sort of start a protest. But actually, a lot of these things do end up becoming spontaneous, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, anyway, they are spontaneous. When 3 young girls died, people got out in the streets because they were angry, but they were clamped down upon and shut down straight away.
But now people are wise to the tactic that was used. The tactic that was used was to lie and say that it was the far right. And people, like I said, I always take the pub view of these things because people tend to speak in a pub much more honestly than they do. It's often my weakness. I was fired from GB News because I was speaking like I was in a pub. Do you know what I mean? And one of the guys in the pub, who doesn't really say much, said to me the other day, he went, "I'm a racist, I'm far right, I don't care." And I said, "But you're not a racist." He went, "Oh yeah, I am now, yeah." I don't care. And I went, what do you mean by racist? And he went, well, I'm white and I'm English. So that's it. It was, so if he sort of resigned himself to that, then I think you're anyway, it's my hope. I want to quickly touch on, so when I was driving into London the other day, I could hear people cheering. I was like, wow. I mean, other than the fact that London was completely unrecognizable and there were women wearing bin bags everywhere and it was hot. And then the bit where their husband is wearing like a t-shirt and he's stood next to a woman in a bin bag, I will never understand. But, good luck, guys. I kept hearing cheering. And as I got, coming in closer into the hipster part of London, like Shoreditch, and I was driving past Shoreditch House, there was this huge, and apparently it was the women's football final. And I was fascinated because I was like, I'd not really heard about the women's football. I turned on 10 minutes of the Spain game and had to suppress laughter. And that's not to say that women's football won't get better and all of these things, and that women shouldn't have an opportunity to play football, because, I have family members who play football.
It's not a woman's sport. It's just ridiculous.
It's not particularly a women's sport, but watching it compared to the men's game was just laughable. They were so appallingly bad. I was just like, this is dreadful, but everyone's cheering it. And it came to mind that the people that were cheering it were the hipster Londoners. And the hipster Londoners want men to be in women's sport and can't define what a woman is. But they suddenly like women's football.
On the positive side of it, it's nice that people have something to celebrate and can celebrate England. And the English team actually did look quite English, which is quite new in football. So that's nice to have a bit of unity, a bit of patriotism. That's good. But football isn't a woman's sport, and it's all a bit fake and gay, isn't it?
Fake and gay.
Yeah.
Calvin Robinson quoted Lacey. Can we call it the one where we talk about whether women's football is fake and gay? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So much of modern society is fake and gay.
Fake and gay. I love that. What do you make of the UYOOKKAY sort of thing
the UK thing? I've stopped using the term UK as much as I can help it. Obviously, it's ingrained in us at this point. But yeah, absolutely. That whole the aesthetic of it is like a major psyop, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've changed. Yeah. They've tried to change within our minds what our country is.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Right. So, on to the questions. The first one, I don't know who it's from, but does being a public figure, especially one who champions truth, in parentheses, require more restraint? Can self-defense ever become self-justification? I think those are two separate questions, actually. Does being a public figure, especially one who champions truth, require more restraint?
What are you thinking? Are you waiting for me to say something?
I'm waiting for you to say.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a good thing, because I think we should all show self-restraint in some way. When I started teaching, I realized that in public, I had to behave more responsibly than I would otherwise. Like, I have that level of accountability. And now when I'm walking out in public with my collar on, I've got an even more higher level of accountability, because people will see someone who's representing the church. And so whether you're representing the community or the church, or whether you've got a large online following or on TV or whatever, like, you have to double think before you act. So I think if more adults had to do that, it would be a good thing. I think we live in an age of entitlement where people are much more individualized and therefore much more selfish and don't actually think about how things impact the wider community as much as we used to. But if we flip that back around and put the community back into our focus and how we represent it and how it represents us, then we'd be much more gelled together and hopefully more patriotic.
Yeah, I see your point. Your point is that live the thing you want to see. So you want to see, so I totally get that point. I wonder if there's a counter argument to it. So Lizzie's always saying to me, you're a target, be smart. And the area where we don't clash because we're not really that sort of couple, but the area of disagreement not disagreement, but the area of contention between us in the debate is I go, are you, by trying to, use this word restraint, whatever that can mean many things, are you creating for yourself a prison in your own head?
Yes.
Or are you...
Well, that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
No, maybe it's not a bad thing. My instinctive thing is like, there's a real prison out there. You might as well stick me in a real prison, but I'm not shut up.
I'm not saying we need to be censored. I don't believe in... I'm not saying like self-censorship, but a bit of self-restraint is a good thing. Like, the whole point of being a man is to be as strong as you possibly can, and then therefore to restrain yourself, right?
Yeah. Yes, I would agree with that. I think we agree. But like you say, two things can be true at once. Okay, now we're on to Milk and Menace. Wants to know, this regards to Tommy. If it had been the other way around, a lefty knocking out Tommy, would the police even bother to investigate?
No, probably not.
They wouldn't, would they?
They'd probably celebrate it.
They'd celebrate and they'd blame Tommy.
There's something about the consequences of your actions or something like that.
Tommy was mean to someone and it was his fault that he was stabbed. That's what they would say. That would be the police position. They're so ideologically captured, they can't even enforce the law anymore. I have no faith in the police. That's such a shame. Truth Trowel _88. I get he's rough around the edges, but is anyone actually challenging what's happening happening in this country like he is? Yes, they are. A lot of people are, but I think they're showing a little bit too much restraint. That's what I would say. I think people should show less restraint in the way that they stand up to those that wish to seek dominance and persecute your average person. I think people should show less restraint. But then look what trouble that gets me into. What do you think?
Yeah, it's difficult. We've created a trap for ourselves in England in that we still hold ourselves to some kind of high regard from a past that we no longer live in, a country that we no longer live in. We have this whole class system. We have this whole belief structure that doesn't actually practically work anymore. So I don't know how I'm trying to articulate this, but the people that could make a difference, like so the people that the sound politicians, and there are a few. One of them made a speech last week that I retweeted. I think he probably did. Like a few of us retweeted it. He did quite well because he said some good things to an empty chamber. It's like what he's saying is good, and we need to hear this more. But these people are so nervous about doing this. So this is one of the reasons we need to encourage them when they do. Because it's like, yeah, well done. All right, keep going. But they're so nervous about it because they're told like to be in a respectable society, we don't say these things out loud. And you and I know so many people who agree with us that would only say so in private, and especially people in the higher echelons of society. Like deep down, they agree with everything we're saying, but oh no, it's like, oh, if these people were active and these people said these things, then they'd shift the entire Overton window and the country would be reclaimed. So yes, to that degree, there is too much self-restraint.
I think those people are starting to speak out more. Good. And I used the point from my lawyer who said that the Overton window they're shifting so rapidly rightwards that I am not right-wing enough anymore.
You've always been a massive liberal. I don't know why people ever thought you were a Nazi. It's insane.
Thanks a lot, mate.
You're right.
Okay. I don't want to talk about the Online Safety Act because I've only got one thing to say about it, which is it poisoned go to VPN. You got anything to say about it? Sorry.
Just the gaslighting. Oh, you don't believe in protecting children. Oh, okay. So it's like, no. You guys don't believe in protecting children. If you did, you'd clamp down on the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs and you deport that 4% of the population that's accountable for 65% of the child sexual abuse and child sexual exploitation. Don't gaslight us into pretending that censoring adults online is somehow protecting children. And when they sit there on the camera and say, don't download VPNs, don't get around the rules because this is all about checking that children are the right age to go online. How does an adult using a VPN check whether a child is the right age to go? All the lying. It's all about censoring what we can see, what we can say, because they want to control the narrative. Don't paint it any other way. We're not stupid.
I take great confidence from that though, because it's a sign of a weak government and a weak regime and a weak ideology when the only thing it's got left is to try and censor and silence people.
It's incredibly communist.
It is very communist. I take that as a bonus. Okay, hang on. Where's this? There was a good one.
While you look, JSR Berenderson, who's a long-time commenter, said, "What do you two find most important for children to learn at school? Also, should children learn cursive at school again?"
Okay, shall I go?
Yeah.
When I got the video of the wedding, when it's my birthday, I say to my son, he says, "What do you want for your birthday?" To my kids, they go, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I say, "I would like a letter." And then if there's an event such as the wedding, they go, "What am I going to do? Do I have to do anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to give a speech." So the things I think is the most important, it's a good question to teach. And my son's Eugene speech I watched it this morning because we got all the videos in, you'll see it yourself hopefully later, was just brilliant. And to teach a child to be confident in the way that they express themselves, both in the written word and the spoken word, I think is the two best gifts you can give a child. What do you think?
That's good. I think we're past the stage of what is important for children to learn at school. We need to get back to how they learn at school. Behavior for learning is an important aspect, but also all of the whole structure of the schooling system, especially the state school or public school, as they call it out here, is just centered around indoctrination. And people often say, teach them how to think, not what to think. That's right to some degree, but it's worse than that in that what we're doing is we're handing our children over to the state to be indoctrinated by the state's values. We've forgotten the core of it all, which is the parents should be educating their children, and the schooling system was set up to supplement that. I think parochial schools are good. If you've got a good parish church with a good parish school and you can send your kids there and you know they're being taught to be good Christians, fantastic. Otherwise, I think home education is the future. It's massive over here in the States. I think it will probably grow in Britain as well at some point, because you cannot trust the schools. You can't trust the teachers. I've been through teacher training. I can remember how awful it was. They did tell you that if a child picks up a chair to throw it, don't punish that child. Try to think, what is that child trying to communicate? What they're trying to communicate is bad behavior. It needs to be punished, right?
Yeah.
It's a common sense things, but it's massively wokeified. I remember the first time I had a pupil that had been transitioned from a boy to a girl, or was it girl to a boy? I can't remember now. But it's not good for our country. The state school system, the public school system is not good for our country and for our kids. And parents need to reprioritize their lives so that they are focused on educating their children and giving them a good set of values that can be done in a parochial setting or in a home setting. And I'm not saying on your own. You can have hubs, home hubs. Classical education is great where you can find it. It's very rare in England, unfortunately. Much more common out here. But don't trust the schools.
Agree with you 100%. And if I ever succeed, or if God blesses Lizzie and I with a little one, that child will go nowhere near a school, and knowing Lizzie, probably nowhere near a doctor ever either, unless it's a serious life-threatening emergency. And that is a good question, and I'm glad that we agree on it. Okay, here's our final question that I want to go through. There's a few more actually, but let's have a look. Let's see if there's one which is interesting. Okay, let's try this before we get to you praying us out. Is it unchristian to be angry with your leaders if they're clearly doing harm? From Tony, but make it biblical.
No, not at all. I think this is probably in response to our former employer now has a Church of England priest in a blue shirt giving little thoughts of the day. And I think he said something along the lines of, don't be angry. Yeah, the Lord doesn't teach us not to be angry. He teaches us that vengeance is the Lord's. But he also teaches us that if we are to be angry, it needs to be righteous anger. Right? Righteous indignation is a biblical concept. The idea that we should hate evil and we should not tolerate evil. These are biblical messages that are taught over and over again. We're not taught to be nice to things that are not good. And so, yeah, we should be angry if our government is being immoral, unethical, and or illegal. Of course we should be, but we should do something good with that anger. That's the point. Not to build up resentment, not to just let it fester and harm us, but to put it out there and disciple it in a good way.
So I didn't know that our former employer I mean, I didn't even know they still existed.
I get tagged every now and then, and people are tagging me. And they've got one of these fluffy church.
But that's such a sort of that's again epitomizes what's so wrong with the right in Britain, or the cosplay woke right, is that they're aware of the fact that a Christian faith is absolutely fundamental to getting out of this mess. So they have a tokenistic fence-sitting libtard to say that we support Christian values, but they don't at all. So that's a bit of a
one of the reasons they had me. They were like, we need a Christian. No, not that Christian.
Not that one. He tells you what he knows what the Bible says. We can't have him. We need a Christian that puts his interpretation on the Bible. It's like those constitutional problems they have in America, the difference between the literalists and the interpretationalists, or whatever they call it. But it is quite fascinating. Well, I've loved speaking with you this week. We've managed to stay very calm. And I haven't said the F word once. I don't think I.
Genuinely.
Have I got through without swearing? Oh, I tell you who's put me off that. It's Victor Davis Hanson.
Wow.
I was listening to him, and he said, he said he was so shocked when his dad was trying to negotiate some land thing that his dad said, "Damn." And he said the whole room stopped and looked at his father, because it was the first time they'd heard him curse. I was like, that's nothing compared to what we hear all the time. So I thought that, I love swearing, but it's not the right way to go. Anyway, that's your alarm. So, right. Pray us out, Calv. Okay. I love you.
Today is the memorial of St. Peter Chrysologus, who was a great theologian of the church. So let's pray. Here's the collect. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O God, who made the Bishop St. Peter Chrysologus an illustrious preacher of incarnate word, grant through his intercession that we may constantly ponder in our hearts the mysteries of thy salvation, and faithfully manifest them in our lives, through the same Jesus Christ, thy Son, our Lord, who liveth and reigneth with thee in the unity of the Holy Spirit, ever one God, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless you, bro. Lovely to see you. And I will give me a call once you've watched the vid.
I will do. I can't wait.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I will see you next week.
Yep. See you all next week. Thank you. Bye.
Lots of love, guys. Bye.